In the range of my own responsibilities, the task is to refit or to rethink our training system. We've been accustomed to play a scripted music and to prepare ourselves for plans. And we know that what we will face is something which is not scripted yet, and that maybe not be scripted. So the training has to be reshuffled, to rethink, in order to let our commanders be able to think about adaptation, short learning loops, to be able to adapt quickly and to face new environments.
Yes, I think the principal challenge is being ready to carry out our responsibilities, to be ready to fight tonight, as well as making investments for the Navy of the future. And so those responsibilities don't necessarily always mesh up very closely together because it involves a prioritization of resources. So our priorities have been, based on the fact that we face a rising China, have been readiness, the modernization of our current force, and then the growth of the Navy in terms of size in that order. So, in other words, we want to make sure that we have a force that's ready to fight tonight, that's capable of fighting tonight. At the same time, we're trying to make investments in lethal capabilities for the future. And it also involves unmanned. So we don't believe that we can maintain a Navy the same way that we did in the previous century, and that is to wrap $2 billion worth of steel around 96 missile tubes. A much heavier reliance on unmanned, in the air, on the sea, and under the sea, with an acquisition strategy that yields a hybrid fleet of manned and unmanned vessels in the 2030s and in the 2040s.
You are entirely right that throughout the 400 years history of the Royal Navy, most of our activity has been in support of trade and economic prosperity around the world. And while it is the sea battles that we tend to commemorate and which we must be most ready for, the majority of our time has actually been about working closely with the merchant marine, enabling them to go about their business, providing safety and security. And that role has not changed today, and I do not see it changing in the future. We need to adapt to the geopolitical context we're operating within, without a doubt. And as both Admiral Gilday and Admiral Vondier have described, those challenges are changing. But we can only do so in close partnership with our merchant marine colleagues and friends, particularly when one considers that to support a British shipping industry, in many ways, we are exactly the same as a merchant ship. We are built of steel. We need to maneuver around the oceans safely. We have to be mariners first. And then it just so happens that within the military navies, we need to be able to conduct vicious combat whenever required. So ensuring that we are articulating alongside the merchant navy of the United Kingdom what we require in support from the country, from shipping industry, from logistics supply chains around the world is a very key role going ahead in the years ahead. And I don't see that changing one bit. So every nation makes a choice about whether to go alone or to invest in its partners and allies and friends. And increasingly in the interconnected world we're in, certainly for the United Kingdom, we see alliances and partnerships absolutely as the bedrock of our security and the means by which we wish to engage with the world. NATO is fundamental to that, and therefore it is beholden on me as the head of one Navy to have close, lasting and deep friendships and partnerships with the heads of other navies. And I really value the opportunity to be here in support of Admiral Vendier alongside my colleague Admiral Gilday, because the time that we spend together in public is only but a small amount of time that we spend together in private, debating and discussing and working out how best, between ourselves and our respective navies, we can go about providing the sort of solutions to the challenges we see today. It is difficult to imagine countries successfully being able to go alone in the complex world in which we operate. And whilst at the time, for any particular moment, it will be matters of political choice, we as the heads of Navy need to be sure we are creating those choices every day.
Thank you very much, sir. Admiral Gilday, your own perspective on alliance and partnerships.
The first Shilo did a very good job of setting the table. I'll pick up on a couple of themes that he mentioned. First and foremost, I think for the listening audience, it's important to reiterate that we serve and we represent maritime nations. And as Admiral Key mentioned, never have our national security interests as well as our prosperity been as closely linked it is today and interdependent as it is today. We all depend upon the free flow of goods, of resources, and of information under, on, and above the sea. We all expect and require to have unimpeded access to trade routes and unrestricted access to markets that are largely borne by seaborne traffic. And so it's important for those reasons that we continue to work together to keep the maritime commons free, open, and safe, so that not only our three nations, but all nations can benefit from that rising tide.
Thank you very much, sir. Admiral Vendier, the final word on the alliance and partners.
One of the core issues working together is interoperability. Why? Because it's giving tactical momentum, it's giving mass where we don't have so much, and so when we collaborate, we can cover bigger issues being working together, and it creates what I would say strategic uncertainty, because our opponents, our competitors, don't know what side of force they will have to deal with. So this needs a deep build-up, because being interoperable is not just having the same software, is having the same procedures, a common training, a common understanding, and so that is able to fill a wide range of situations from wartime to peacetime. And so that needs big efforts, and the cooperation we have with these two big other navies which are facing the same issues as ours about deterrence, about carriers, about nuclear submarines all over the world is a good way, is a good basis to develop this interoperability that benefits to all our other partners.